Let me pull up the story here. We got this from NBC Washington. Ian just mentioned it a moment ago. DC mayor requests National Guard to help with migrants bust to Capitol. A lot of people are laughing about it, saying it's like it's irony, it's funny, or Texas and Arizona's plan is working. Let me tell you something. Texas and Arizona could be busing the migrants back to where they came from, to their home countries. Sending them to DC is helping the Democrats and the Biden administration with their immigration agenda. They are basically saying, so Texas is like, we're going to send these migrants to you, DC, and then DC's like, thanks for the help. We're going to then distribute, these people around the country where we see fit. What this means
to places we don't live.
It's true.
Yeah.
The way it's supposed to work. You get in line and say, I'd like to come to this amazing country. We say, let us figure it out and give you the best possible place so that everybody thrives. What the Democrats and the Biden administration are doing is they're saying, just let everybody come in and then we'll sort them out later. No rules. No rules. And then Texas and Arizona are like, we'll show you, Biden. We'll actually pay for the buses to send them into the country. Ha! And then people are laughing about it. And I'm like, dude, you're just helping them. Texas and Arizona could more easily. It is a longer bus ride to DC. I feel like people on the right are being duped into thinking that plan was a good plan.
There's a few things. I'm not so sure how it applies here, but I know when I was covering migration issues in Europe, one thing all the migrants would do is they would destroy their passports before coming in and touching ground in any European country, because they had basically been told, well, if you don't have a passport, they don't know where they can deport you to. And so there are some tactics that migrants will use to try to prevent deportation. So I'm not sure how difficult it is for these states to do that. If they are trying to apply legally to get in but don't have standing, it would be much easier to deport them. But then if they're going in and like claiming asylum status, there still has to be some sort of court case, which is the problem, because they still have to be held somewhere.
Our goodwill is being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
People who are coming here are not asylum seekers. They're economic migrants. Yeah. I get it. I'll tell you this. I have infinitely more respect for them than the modern American leftist that hates this country. But there still has to be a process for the sake of maintaining what this country is. If it's good, and I mean, our economy is not so good these days, but still better than other places, well, then there's a reason why it is, because there's a system in place. If people just come in, start ripping apart that system, it's the decline of empire. I mean, actually, wasn't the Roman Empire dealing with immigration crisis?
Hugely. It was the fall of the empire. It was all the northern like, I don't know, who was it? Not the Vandals, people in the Northeast. But basically, after the empire had spread all throughout the Eastern and the Western Roman empires, the empire split in half. But then it just like, over the next 200 years, people just kept pouring across the border. And then they would set up their new government, like their foreign government in Rome, in the Roman territory. Then all of a sudden you realize it's not Roman territory anymore, because it's that other government is now running the show.
Rome also had like bureaucratic complexity that wasn't sustainable past a certain point, and part of that is like,
sound familiar?
Yeah, and kind of what you're talking about, like when you're saying the culture is part of what holds people together, that's like the story. It's the agreed upon story. It also lends into why at first you don't need to hire mercenaries, because the story is strong and people believe it, and then after a while, when you get a certain critical mass of burn it down, this place doesn't, people in the country disrespecting the story of the very country or the nation, that's when it starts to come apart, is when the belief that this is even a good thing that we're upholding. And then what you were just mentioning about, like at the beginning of the nation, how many bills were being passed. Well, it also feels like that the Constitution was there to say, like, this is what the government is, and that's it, right? And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then a lot of people, they need to secure their position. So keep passing bills, keep making your job position relevant. So that complexity grows, not because I believe in it and I believe what this nation could be, but a lot of it is self-preservation. So it builds this bureaucratic complexity that just can't sustain for very long.